Greetings, happy holidays, and happy new year. I hope all of you guys are at home keeping nice and warm. Personally, I've got my nice comfy chair and my brain full of ideas. As we near the end of the year and 2026 is rearing its head, I thought it'd be nice to reflect and give a nice little mini review for every new video game I've played this year. From card games to horror games to even arcade games, I've played quite the variety this year. So without a further ado, let's get into it. Oh, Balatro. What is there that I can say that others haven't already? I mean, he was nominated for Game of the Year along such heavy hitters like Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, and even Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One thing I can say is that I am kind of cheating with this being on the list. I did first play it on December 31st, but that's within 365 days, so I'm counting it, okay? This game is so addicting. I mean, just seeing those numbers go up is so mesmerizing. The amount of different ways you can play the game just pulls me in with replayability. My favorite thing I found that I can do, at least on PC, is that you can go into the files of the game and you can make custom playing cards for you to play with. Right now, I have the TF2 Mercenaries as the heart face cards and DC superheroes like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman as the club's face cards. Plus, I'm not even that good at the game. I mean, have you seen the amount of things that people have been able to do in this game? It is insane. Not only am I addicted to this game, but I even got my friends addicted to this game. I have a friend, he got it on mobile. He had to put a screen time cap on the game because he couldn't get any work done because he did nothing but play Balatro all day. It really is no surprise that Balatro got nominated for Game of the Year last year, and it really deserves its spot on my favorites list in Steam. I give Balatro a 10 out of 10. My girlfriend bought a new PC last December, and so for Christmas I bought her a bunch of games. Through my research, I found South Park: The Stick of Truth. Now, my girlfriend loves South Park. I mean, she did the entire season in just a couple of months. So obviously, this is a no-brainer for her. But in my research to making sure the game was good and it was worthwhile, it was only like $2. So in the end, I was like, why not I buy it for myself as well? And so then I was pretty much introduced to South Park in this way. I had never watched any of it beforehand, and it was an experience, to be said. There were so many in-jokes that went over my head and like inappropriate humor that just utterly shocked me, to say the least. You start the game as a new kid in town who is thrust upon the war between Cartman's clan of Koopa Keep and Kyle's Drow Elf faction. You can choose from fantasy classes like Fighter, Mage, Thief, and Jew. It's a turn-based game that becomes really intuitive when you get the hang of it. In the amount of time I've owned the game, I've gotten relatively close to 100%ing the Steam achievements, and I've done about 2 playthroughs. The story certainly exists, but according to Ava, it fits South Park. It's not too different from the usual stories. Now, I don't want to spoil too much of the game, because I feel like a lot of the jokes on my second playthrough didn't really land as well, because it's more shock value that way, I feel. And so once you play it once, it's really funny, but the second time you play it, it just doesn't land as much because you know that they're happening. I give The Stick of Truth an 8 out of 10. There really isn't much to say about FPS Chess. I mean, it's just chess, but every time you take a piece, it turns into a first-person shooter. I guess you could call it a hero shooter, but I really wouldn't. While a novel concept, there wasn't really enough to draw me in to play it more than a couple times. Granted, I'm not too much of a chess person, and also I never really had anybody to play this game with. The online servers are pretty much dead, and the AI that you can play against I don't really think works. The AI during the first-person sections, I think, is broken because none of them attack or move whatsoever. It's a really novel concept, but it just doesn't really work for me. So with that, I'll give FPS Chess a 4 out of 10. I never really understood all the hype for games like Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Driver Simulator. I always thought that it was just you're driving a truck and doing nothing. How boring. That is, until I was perusing Steam and I found Star Truckers. It's the same type of game, but instead of driving trucks around the country or the continent, you're driving huge frickin' spaceships in the shape of semi-trucks. It's a very nice twist on the kind of game that we all know. Instead of driving on highways, you take jump gates to different beautiful areas, some with varying conditions like electrical storms, solar flares, and space anomalies. Since you're in space, the driving becomes much more thoughtful since there is no ground friction or air resistance to slow you down. Once you get going, you really need to work to change directions. Another thing you'll need to be thoughtful of is your truck's systems. Obviously, you'll need to worry about the obvious one, fuel, which is only $2 a gallon? I don't even get that at my local gas station, and this is rocket fuel. Man, I guess I'm not going to be spending $30 a gallon in 3023. Anyway, on top of gas, you'll also need to manage power for your oxygen, gravity, EVA, gravlocks, and temperature control. In my opinion, you need to manage this a little too much. In my first playthrough, I got soft locked because I ran out of gas and oxygen, and I didn't have enough money to pay for more. I ended up having to restart in a custom game mode that had those systems drain much slower. After doing that, the game became much more fun to play. The driving gameplay is pretty similar to most flying games. WASD controls the direction of the truck, space is accelerate, and shift is brake and reverse. When trucking through the galaxy, you will most likely hit some debris and have to go on EVA to repair, which is really smart to add variation to the gameplay instead of just going from place to place without stopping. Whenever I'm having a long day and I need to wind down, I boot up Star Trucker and I play a couple jobs. I give Star Trucker a 7 out of 10. I first heard of Rock of Ages 2 from watching Captain Sauce play it when it first came out. After a few years, I kind of forgot about the game. That is until I found it on sale in February, and I had recently gotten my first paycheck at my new job. My newfound wealth of $50 convinced me to buy the game and be re-immersed in the game that I used to watch so much of. The art style is so creative, taking historical paintings and turning them almost into puppet-like animation. The story goes as follows. You are Atlas, who is supposed to be holding up the world. You take a break and accidentally cause a Fortnite event. In fear of what God will do to you, you jump down to Earth with the boulder from the previous game, which I have not played, and then the game begins. On your journey through Europe and parts of Africa and Asia, you encounter enemies like the Liver King, Chaperone, and David Tennant. Everyone fights wars and solves conflicts in this wars,
throwing giant boulders down a hill.
When you're not admiring the game's art style, you're protecting yourself from enemy boulders, from things going from walls and explosives to sticky cows and sucky whales. The way you win is by destroying the enemy's gate, squishing them with your boulder, and doing a little jig on their corpse. Rock of Ages 2 is a really silly, ridiculous game, and that is why I love it so much. I give it an 8 out of 10. Ravenfield is another one of my nostalgia source to video games. I watched a lot of YouTube videos of it as a kid, and then just kind of forgot about it. I rediscovered it last spring, and I've had so much fun with the game. The base game is a classic red versus blue military sim with tons of different guns and vehicles and maps. It's single player only, which you would think would limit the game, but the amount of content in the game really makes it worthwhile. Like the secondary conquest mode, which acts sort of like a board game where you can move troops around and upgrade your army. It's a little half-baked, but it's still in early access, so it'll probably get better with time. What truly makes the game amazing, though, is the Steam Workshop. It turned this somewhat realistic FPS into a bonkers game where pink Halo Spartans are at war with hundreds of Rick Astley clones fighting with Star Wars blasters and driving Toyota Hiluxes with guided missiles on the roof, all while fighting in Poland. The amount of replayability this game had before has just skyrocketed to infinity. I mean, the amount of ridiculousness this game has is truly awesome, and every once in a while, when I need some dumb fun, I boot up Ravenfield. That is why I give it an 8 out of 10. Now, we all have our opinions on Marvel Rivals. It's just an Overwatch clone, it's the Overwatch killer, it's a Gooner game. Well, I say you are mostly wrong. Rivals is so much fun, and I wish people saw the fun in it. I currently main Invisible Woman, and am at least competent with the Thing, Squirrel Girl, and Ultron. I haven't had too much time to play with the newer characters, but I'm sure they're fun too. I really like the fact that the superpowered beings and gods that you play as in the game actually feel super powerful. Whenever balance changes come out, I kind of get disappointed because they're usually just nerfs. I've played quite a bit, but I'm not really privy to battle passes or like buying skins, except for Fortnite, so I don't really have too many. But speaking of skins, most of them fall into 3 categories: awesome, trash, and gooner. An awesome skin would be something like the Thing's trench coat, the black suit for Spider-Man, or the standard Squirrel Girl skin. Bad skins include most of the palette swaps, the standard Captain America skin, or the symbiote Iron Man skin. Then we have the gooner skins. You've probably already seen these. Any of the Emma Frost skins, the comic accurate Psylocke, the Malice skin, or like any of the summer skins. However, all of them are very well designed. They're just a little interesting. Marvel Rivals is a really fun superhero game, and it's really nice to just hop on and unwind and play a couple rounds. Unless I get rolled, in which I get very upset. Marvel Rivals gets a 9 out of 10. Now I know what you're thinking. Jackson, you've played Fortnite before this year. What are you even talking about? Well, that may be true. I stopped really playing Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7. I'd play every once in a while, but I just would never really get on. It wasn't until the OG season last winter that I really got into it, but once the OG stuff was done, I just plain out stopped playing again. It wasn't until February or March that I really fell back in love with Fortnite. So much had changed since the last time I had truly played the game. The new movement is groundbreaking, the cool collabs, while a little underwhelming at times, were still really fun to play. I mean, the sheer amount of new modes is just amazing. The Lego mode is alright, kind of boring. Rocket Racing is a nice change of pace. The OG mode is really fun to relive my first seasons, including my first purchase of the Battle Pass this season. And Festival made me learn what lock-in truly means. My favorite season this year has probably been either the Star Wars season or the Heisted season, but the current season right now is really fun. The fact that Marty McFly and the DeLorean are in the game is just activating my nerd brain so much. I love it a lot. While Fortnite is still Fortnite, it has changed and grown so much from when I first started playing it back in 2018. That is why I give it a 9 out of 10. I first played this back in March when my brother and his friends finished a playthrough and they were wondering if I wanted to join. I happily obliged and bought the game, but we never really got too far into it. We only had a couple sessions and then it kind of fizzled out from there. We didn't do much, but we did fight the Eye of Cthulhu and that was pretty cool. I was mainly put on Hellhole duty, so it makes sense why I didn't really get grabbed by the game. There's just too much stuff that you already have to know about the game, and that's just not really my kind of game. I prefer games where I don't have to scour the wiki in order to just progress a little bit. I get that it's super in-depth and there's a lot of stuff to do, but I don't want to have to slog through early game stuff and Google everything I need to do just to have a little bit of fun. That's why I give it a 4 out of 10. Hitman 3, also known as World of Assassination, is a pretty fun game. Going through different locations and casing the place is really fun. I love the puzzle element of trying to stealthily kill your targets as well. Having to change your clothes to get higher access, but then having to sneak around because they know you're not one of their guys, is a really creative concept. And also another novel concept is the fact that they made this not only just a standalone sequel, but also a sort of remaster for Hitman 1 and 2. All of the levels from the previous games are playable, and that's really cool. However, like many other games, I'm not very good at this one. It's borderline frustrating at times when there's just a seemingly impassable room, but it feels so good to get past it and just kill your target. One other thing about the game is that sometimes the way to go about killing the target is very confusing. The tips that they give you are very vague, but I guess that's just part of the puzzle element after all. The game is great, and I would play it a lot more if I had the time to take apart every map and master them in every way, shape, or form. I give Hitman 3 a 7 out of 10. R.E.P.O is a really fun game. It's what the internet would call friend slop, but I like friend slop, okay? I like a quick and fun way of playing with my friends, okay? The game conceptually works the same as Lethal Company, where you go into a procedurally generated building and try and loot for cash. However, in practice, it is much more frustrating. In order to carry objects, you have to click and hold until you don't want to hold it anymore. If you bump your item into a wall or you drop it, then it will lose value or even break. Fun fact, this game is actually how I learned I needed a new mouse, because I would be holding an object and out of the blue, without releasing click, I would just drop items. It also has proximity chat, which is really funny, but oh so terrifying for this next part. The monsters can hear you messing around, and they can very much damage your loot. Some of them outright go out of their way to try and break it. I'm looking at you, gnomes. However, you can certainly fight back. After every day, you go to a store to buy upgrades like more stamina, faster run speed, more health, or even more grip strength. This makes it easier to grab heavier things by yourself, and even pick up enemies and kill them. I haven't been able to get enough upgrades to do that myself, but it looks really fun. I was planning on making a R.E.P.O video earlier this year, but by the time I almost finished editing it, all of my footage corrupted and it had to be scrapped. So if you're ever interested in me playing R.E.P.O on this channel, please let me know in the comments section. This game is a lot of fun, but it definitely depends on the people you play with. I will be forever grateful for the people I played this game with. It was so much fun. You know who you are. I give R.E.P.O a 7 out of 10. In case you didn't know, I love Star Wars, and if you don't believe me, then you can go to my channel and go down to the popular videos section. And I especially love the Jedi games. I've 100%ed Fallen Order, although Steam doesn't recognize it, and I was so excited to play Survivor. I will say this game lives up to all of my expectations and more. The exploration is so much fun, specifically the fact that you can ride different creatures on the many different planets you'll go on. Speaking of the planets, they are so fun to traverse and are visually stunning. It's got the classic desert planet in Jedi. The opening on Coruscant is a great way to kick things off. Exploring the Shattered Moon is really cool, and Kobo is a beautiful central hub. I really like the Return of the Garden and how they translated it into this new game. The story is really engaging, and it's fun to get an actually interesting story from the High Republic. I started playing over the summer, but I wasn't able to finish it before I moved back to college. However, I did get far enough in the game to give an accurate ranking of all of the different lightsaber styles. Personally, I think it goes dual wield, blaster, single, double, and then the crossguard. I really enjoy running dual wield and blaster together because I like a good movement-based combat, but I switch to other styles when needed. However, I really don't like how slow the crossguard is. In all, for the amount that I played the game, Jedi Survivor is such a fun game and a great addition to the Jedi series. I cannot wait for Jedi 3. I give Jedi Survivor a 9 out of 10. Now I will will preface, I have not played too many Pokemon games. I mean, my first game was Let's Go Eevee. When my cousin introduced me to this game over the summer, I was instantly addicted. Pokemon TCG is the usual mobile card game where you can open packs every day, collect a bunch of different cards, and even battle with the cards you collect. There's usually a new package or theme every couple months, and it's really cool to see all the nice art that they put into the game. Personally, I'm more into the collecting side of things. I mean, just look at all the cool stuff I've got. But the deck building and everything else is pretty neat. I just can't wrap my head around it. This game is really fun, and I like collecting cool things. Pokemon TCG gets an 8 out of 10. I first heard of this game when my brother was playing it over summer vacation. It consists of a bunch of different levels across so many different time periods. I mean, this game has everything. Medieval England, the Holy Roman Empire, the Russian Tsardom, Sunguk Japan, MTV's Dan Cortez. Wait, what? Moving on from whatever that was, the main gameplay is just fighting to the death. Tapping and holding the left and right sides of the screen control the respective arms. Starting out, it's a little challenging, but once you get to a certain point, you realize you can equip dual swords and just helicopter at the enemy. While the concept is very interesting, the whole thing seems very, very underbaked. However, the map screen has the entire world, but it's mostly grayed out, which makes me think that there at least was plans to add more content to the game, but as it stands, there just isn't a whole lot to do. It's a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. There isn't too much there, but it does have potential. That's why I give it a 3 out of 10. Now this next part is going to be a little bit weird compared to the others. Over summer vacation, my family obviously went on vacation, and one of the stops we went was to Pastimes Arcade. This place has so many arcade games, and it was honestly overwhelming. I couldn't get all of them on there, so here's just a couple highlights. The original Donkey Kong. Very fun to play on this actual cabinet, 8 out of 10. Battle Zone. Very neat game mechanics. You're piloting a tank, and in order to properly see, you need to look out of this eye stalk thing. 6 out of 10. Landing High Japan. This is a very in-depth flight simulator. I am very bad at it. 4 out of 10. Star Wars. Very cool Infinite Death Star runner. It's pretty difficult the more you play it, and I love it. Very fast-paced. 9 out of 10. This Doctor Who pinball machine, there's a lot of cool things to send the ball into. The back of it lifts up when you shoot 2 balls into it. Very cool mechanics of it all. 7 out of 10. Later into the summer, my brother tried to get me to play Rainbow Six Siege. The only knowledge I had about the game up until that point was the phony guy that talks weird on Twitch. But other than that, I was clueless. It is a 6v6 tactical shooter similar to CSGO or Valorant, where teams are either attacking or defending a bomb. It's really strategic, trying to find good angles to hide in or to look out for, casing the places as attackers, or setting up barriers and traps as defenders is pretty fun. After being trained by my brother for a couple days, I learned that I am very bad at this game. The amount of times that I have died purely because of my terrible reaction time is honestly really sad. So much of this game relies on listening to practically silent footsteps and then shooting at the enemy the instant a singular pixel of their big toe comes on screen. While that might be fun for some people, I really can't get into it without being walloped. That's why I give Rainbow Six Siege a 2 out of 10. Other than Fortnite, Five Nights at Freddy's is the only game on this list to actually appear on the channel before this video. Some of my background on FNAF: I have been a fan of this game since I was in the 6th grade. Little 11-year-old Jackson was enthralled by the concept of scary Charles Entertainment Cheese. However, I had never played any game in the franchise. All of my knowledge had come from either MatPat or Markiplier. I had originally purchased the first game 2 years ago downloaded it, and then proceeded to be too scared to play it. That is until this past October when I finally worked up the courage to play the game. If you saw my original video, then you know that I am very, very bad at it. Since the filming of the video, I have made very little progress and have yet to move on past night 2. Besides that, the game is really, really good, and I'm glad that I'm actually able to participate in a game of the fandom that I've been a part of for so many years now. I give Five Nights at Freddy's a 9 out of 10. Trivia Crack is a pretty fun game to play every once in a while. I originally got me and my friends hooked on it back in October, but then I kind of forgot about it. Every single time I play it now is pretty much my friends saying, "It's your turn, it's your turn, hey, did you know it's your turn?" Trivia Crack is a fun little game to compete with friends on your trivia knowledge. I'm pretty decent at the game, except for the sports category. There isn't really much to say about it, but it's pretty fun and it's a great time waster for when you're bored. Trivia Crack gets a 5 out of 10. Like Trivia Crack, there isn't really much to say about this game. Land Builder is a pretty simple mobile game where you get to take tiles and make a landmass until you get the desired amount of stars. You get more stars when you connect like sides together, and it's pretty fun to try and build an actually nice piece of land. I don't really play it often, but like I said with the previous one, it's nice to have when you're bored. I give Land Builder a 5 out of 10. We all know Gmod, the greatest place to mess around with random stuff and maybe make things, maybe play games, but mostly just mess around. I spent most of my tween years watching people like Vanoss or Jacksepticeye play Prop Hunt, and I still actually watch people like Soundsmith play it from time to time. I mainly play it to mess around with different workshop items, and my favorite thing to do is place a bunch of different enemies all around GM Big City and try to make an escape. I also love playing with friends and just messing around and getting nothing done. The other modes are pretty fun, like Prop Hunt or TTT, but I only really use it for the sandbox. I've just barely scratched the surface of the workshop, and I actually might start using it more for my video essays. With that, I give the final game on this list, Garry's Mod, a 10 out of 10. Well, that's all the games I have played this year. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've enjoyed this entire year of videos. It's been very great to have this entire year to actually upload on a schedule and only slightly miss a couple days, sorry. Like, just this year I have posted 30 videos. Granted, 12 of them have been in this past Christmas special, but they're still videos. They're all still videos, no matter if they got 2 views or frickin' anything else. I hope you've enjoyed learning about the many different games I've played this year, and also the many different games that came out that I missed out on, like, did not get around to playing Silksong. That frickin' sucks. I want to play Silksong, but let me know what you guys want to see, because this year has been such a big growth for the channel. Like, we hit 100 subscribers, which is awesome. Like, granted, it took a couple years, but the fact that I went from like 21 subscribers all the way to 120 in just a year, that's awesome. And I hope I can continue to grow next year. I hope I can still have your guys' support. That would be awesome. But I will be taking a break in January because I need time to myself. While it has been fun to be making these YouTube videos, I need to get into a better flow of things, because a lot of the time I'm a big procrastinator, and so I wait until like 2 days before a video is supposed to go up before I even start thinking about it, and that's not very good. So I'll probably start recording them over January, but if I still stay on this every third Sunday I post, then the first video next year will probably be on February 1st. So be expecting that to be the next video, the first video of next year. But other than that, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great new year. I hope you have a great Christmas. Yeah. Thank you. Farewell.